28 years have passed since the apocalyptic zombie outbreak destroyed the world. In this desolate wasteland, a young boy named Spike is surrounded and bullied by a vicious group of kids. Their ruthless leader, Jimmy, watches with sick amusement. Spike is horrified as Jimmy calls upon his father, Satan, whom he refers to as Old Nick, to see if this boy is worthy of joining his team. Spike is handed a knife, but one of the gang members casually smacks it out of his hand. Everyone laughs at his humiliation, except for one girl, Kelly. The bullying escalates when the guy forcefully pulls down Spike's pants. In a moment of sheer panic, Spike blindly stabs outward. The blade hits an artery. When the knife is removed, excessive bleeding causes the bully to collapse, as he slowly bleeds to death. Nobody lifts a finger to help him. Jimmy casually approaches the trembling Spike and announces that from now on, his name is Jimmy, because in this twisted gang, everyone is called Jimmy. He hands Spike the dead boy's wig, and the group moves on, killing a random zombie in their path. Meanwhile, deep inside an overgrown jungle, a man hunting a deer is chased by a pack of zombies. Among them is an alpha zombie possessing higher intelligence and brute strength. The alpha easily overtakes the hunter and violently rips his head off. Elsewhere, a man named Dr. Ian is dragging a body from an abandoned train toward his sanctuary, the Bone Temple. He suddenly stops. The alpha is standing right behind him. The zombie charges, but Ian remains perfectly calm, raising a blowgun. He lowers it momentarily to coax the alpha closer, then blows a tranquilizer dart into its neck, rendering it frail and docile. Ian carefully cleans the creature's wounds, removing the hunter's arrows. He speaks casually to the zombie, naming him Samson. Returning to his temple, Ian washes the skull he collected and sets it up as a memorial. He then retreats to his habitat, puts on some music, and peacefully looks at old photographs. The next morning, Ian prepares his dart blower again. Seeing Samson acting relatively calm, he calls the alpha closer and blows another dart. Ian sits beside the sedated creature, wondering if it understands him. Hoping his tone conveys that he means no harm, he begs Samson to speak just one word. Exhausted, Ian falls asleep. When he wakes, Samson is gone, and Ian is simply relieved he wasn't attacked. The following day, Samson returns, gifting Ian a severed deer's head. Ian joyfully accepts it, chatting with the alpha and even dancing with him. Deep in the jungle, 3 foragers, an elder man, a pregnant woman, and a younger guy are gathering food. They spot a zombie. The elder man insists on killing it quietly so it won't scream and attract a horde. However, he fails. The zombie shrieks. As more infected swarm their location, the elder man tries to fight, but infected blood splashes directly into his eyes, turning him into a zombie. The pregnant woman and the younger guy sprint back to their fenced-in hut. But when they enter their home, they find a nightmare waiting for them. Jimmy and his gang have taken the family hostage. The terrified family serves them food, while Jimmy forces a gang girl, Jimmia, to put on a dance show. The mother bravely asks them to leave. Jimmy jokes that they will leave, but first, they are going to kill them all. The father throws a pot of boiling water at the gang, but they are quickly overpowered and captured. In the chaos, the pregnant woman manages to escape and hides in the attic. Outside, Kelly wanders off to search for the pregnant woman. In the distance, she spots Dr. Ian dancing happily with Samson the Alpha, leaving her completely flabbergasted. Inside a nearby farmhouse, the captured family is gagged and tied up. Jimmy lectures his team about Old Nick, claiming Satan spread demons across the world and assigned Jimmy, his favorite son, to rule the kingdom. Jimmy declares that Old Nick demands charity, which means offering sacrifices. Today's charity is brutally peeling off their victims' skins. The kids put on terrifying masks and begin the gruesome work. Spike is physically sick to his stomach. Kelly tells him he can't look away, has to watch. Back at the Bone Temple, Samson stares blankly at the moon. Ian lies beside him, revealing that the medicine he has been giving him, collected globally over 28 years, will run out in 2 weeks. Knowing their peaceful unity must end, Ian prepares a lethal injection to give Samson eternal peace. Just as he is about to inject him, Samson miraculously speaks a single word: Moon. Stunned, Ian stops. In the farmhouse, the horrific skinning is complete, except for the younger man. Jimmy offers him a sadistic choice: fight a gang member to the death. Win, and he joins the team. Lose, or refuse, and he dies. The man agrees and chooses to fight Jimmy. Jimmy as Ali dodges his attack and stabs him, making him fall. Mocking him, Jimmy pulls down his trousers. It's watching from the attic. The pregnant woman pushes a heavy iron hook, dropping it directly onto Jimmy's head, numbing him. The wounded man crawls to a gas cylinder, ignites a fire that burns a gang member, but is immediately shot with an arrow. The pregnant woman jumps from the attic and runs. Jimmy orders Spike to chase her. Spike draws his bow as the woman struggles with a locked gate. She gives up, turning to face her death. But Spike lowers his weapon, tearfully begging her to take him with her. Instead, she punches him hard in the gut, unlocks the gate, and escapes. Spike returns to the burning farm and stammers a lie to Jimmy, claiming he killed her in the dark woods. Jimmy coldly states he should have cut her face off as proof, ordering Spike to apologize to Old Nick or else have his own face peeled. When a gang member calls Spike weak, Kelly defends him. She agrees they need to consult Old Nick, describing the orange-skinned man in his bone temple to the group. The next morning, Samson peacefully eats a grape while Ian researches and collects pills. Armed with his dart blower, Ian heads out, only to be ambushed by Jimmy's team. Seeing Ian's orange skin, which Ian explains is just iodine to prevent the virus, Jimmy believes he has found Satan. Jimmy calls him an atheist doctor, but praises his morbid temple. When Jimmy asks if Satan is his father, Ian realizes the boy is a delusional Satanist and plays along. While Kelly carves her name into a tree on a nearby mound, Spike suggests they leave the random old man alone. Kelly disagrees, pointing out that Jimmy is just pretending to know this place to maintain control. Alone with Jimmy, Ian shares a dark memory. His father was a vicar who believed charity started at home, so he fed his own mother and sisters to the infected. Jimmy threatens to choke Ian to death with his own guts, unless he pretends to be Old Nick in front of the gang. Ian agrees to the twisted deal. That night, Jimmy establishes the rules for his team. No one is allowed to touch Old Nick or address him directly except Jimmy. Meanwhile, Ian sits with Samson. He confesses he felt true fear today, worried about what would happen to Samson if he died. Ian reveals his breakthrough theory. The infection isn't just a physical cell mutation. It possesses a psychological aspect. He believes a treatable psychosis makes the zombies hallucinate and attack children. He feeds Samson a handful of antipsychotic pills. The next morning, Spike attempts to run away. He beats down a charging zombie with an arrow, but is suddenly ambushed by a gang member who hates him. Pinned against an ice point, Spike is about to be killed when Kelly arrives and ends the attacker's life. She hands Spike his wig, telling him there is no better place and he needs to stick with her. She lies to Jimmy, claiming the guy tried to desert so she killed him. Jimmy smiles, accepting the lie. Samson washes his hands in a stream, looking remarkably conscious. He wanders to the remains of an old train. A sudden flashback hits him. He's sitting on a train. A conductor asks for his ticket, and then instantly turns into a zombie. Snapping back to the present, Samson is swarmed by infected. Using his regained clarity and brute strength, he massacres them one by one. Night falls at the Bone Temple. Ian prepares the ultimate performance. The masked gang arrives. Stepping into the center of the intricately decorated temple, Ian emerges from behind the pillars to the sound of haunting music. He dances monstrously, creating a circle of fire and spraying dust into their eyes. Samson arrives, covered in zombie blood, adding to the terrifying atmosphere. Jimmy and the kids begin dancing wildly in excitement. Ian finishes the spectacle with a mesmerizing, flaming stick routine. Absolutely awestruck, the gang kneels. Ian stops Jimmy from kneeling, calling him his favored son. Jimmy smirks, thanking him for the show, and asks for advice. Ian tells them to continue their mission of skinning the useless people of the kingdom. Jimmy pushes for a final commandment. Ian walks up to masked Spike and removes his mask, recognizing the terrified boy. Ian turns to Jimmy and delivers his final command. Just as God sacrificed Christ to ascend, Ian requires the same. Jimmy must be crucified by his own team. Jimmy backs away, cursing Ian and yelling that they have been fooled. He exposes Ian's real identity, declaring that Satan would never ask for this. In a fit of rage, Jimmy swiftly stabs Ian deep in the stomach. As Spike rushes to tend to the bleeding doctor, Jimmy orders his team to execute Kelly. One member grabs Kelly, but she ends him easily. The other chases her, and unwillingly, she ends him too. In the chaos, Spike grabs a weapon and stabs Jimmy. Kelly delivers the final blow, knocking Jimmy to the ground. Kelly looks at Ian, realizing there is no old Nick. Ian wheezes, telling Kelly he saw the suffering behind Spike's mask and wanted to free them. Kelly notes Ian won't survive the wound. As Ian bleeds out, Kelly and Spike decide to obey his final command. They share their real names, forming a genuine bond, and walk away together. Behind them, Jimmy is nailed to a reverse cross. Crucified upside down, he screams for help, crying that he can no longer hear his father's voice. Samson slowly approaches the scene. He walks past the screaming Jimmy and kneels beside Ian. Looking down at the man who saved him, Samson clearly speaks the words, "Thank you." As Ian peacefully passes away, Samson gently carries his body into the jungle. Later, on an isolated island habitat, a little girl is studying the Second World War with her father, Jim. Suddenly, the girl asks him to be quiet. They both hear a distant commotion. Grabbing their weapons, they head out into the grasslands. Looking down from the ridge, they see a massive swarm of zombies aggressively chasing a young couple, Spike and Kelly. The little girl looks up at her father and asks if they should help them. After careful consideration, Jim smiles and says, "Of course we should." Together, they run down the hill toward the fight. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the recaps, PLS, like and subscribe. See you in the next recap.